Hello, beautiful artisans on YouTube. So we are going to do some kawandi projects. But for me, when I start a project, even if theme-based, I do a little research and I want to know, like if I'm doing a great blue heron, I want to know a little bit about the great blue heron. So with the kawandi, I want to know about the kawandi. So over the years, I've done research. I will tell you there's different schools of thought, but there's some very consistent basic facts. Kiwandi comes from originally Africa. When the people of Africa were taken as slaves over to India in the 16th century, they brought with them a beautiful, beautiful culture of kawandi. These were initially made and as celebrated pieces to preserve family history, pieces of fabric sewn together of what different family members wore. So there's schools of thoughts calling this patchwork. I agree with the school of thought. It is not patchwork. These pieces are referenced as tekeli, if I'm saying that correctly. But they're certain valuable pieces that create, all in all, the quilt. So this quilt is also made in a manner that is quite different from your traditional quilting. So traditional quilting, you work with the backing, you're folding your pieces, you're arranging them, this and that. Kawandi is made with raw pieces. Like the boro, it is made with raw pieces, raw edges. Now, if you want to, you can certainly fold those pieces. And around the edges, when we begin kawandi, we are folding the base of the pieces. And I'll show you that. The batting is placed into the center and worked straight through. The stitching is worked in the shape of your base. So if it's a square or a rectangle, you're working running stitches that way. You're laying your pieces from the outside in. So those are the main differences between a Western quilt and even boro and the kawandi. So to get started, what we're going to do is get a piece of table linen. So it's cotton or linen, something like that. It's easy for you to work with. So as your base. And then you will need a second piece, and you can use a sheet or you can use another piece of table linen. That will be your batting. And so, I improvised along the way, and I'll share with you different methods that I use, borrowing from the beautiful kawandi methods I use I call it kawandi inspired. I think there's no other way really to reference it because it's not a true kawandi. But what we're making is based on the traditional kawandi. So you'll need two pieces. And the easiest way, I really believe, is to use a couple of table linens because they're the same size. So that just makes it a little easier for you. So, and then you'll need your thread, and I use the same lace crochet thread that I use for my boro. And, with this, we went vertical and we went horizontal. So with our kawandi piece, we're going to just be going around once. And that's how we're going to do it. So for pieces of fabric, kawandi is also referenced as a soulful stitching. So when you pull a piece, when you pick a piece, when you choose a piece, it's not highly manipulated, okay? It's a piece that may have meaning to you if you're using, let's say, fabrics that were of clothing of a loved one. So, but if you're using pieces, let's say from the thrift shop, or using scrap pieces, you pull a piece that you feel very good about, you're getting good vibes about, let's say. So Soulful stitching. Now you can prepare your pieces by having long strips if you want. If you want to go around your design, you want to make your design, you want to build your design a certain way, or you want to use rectangles, or you want to use squares, or both, or long strips, rectangles, and squares, you can do that. So that's what you'll need. And, you know, you can use blends. Today, people are using blends. If you have cottons and you want to stay with that, that's that might make the sewing a little easier for you, because some of the blends, as we know, have spandex in them or some kind of rubbery, and it makes it difficult to sew. And now, so with this project, you're going to be going through your top layer, your batting, and your base. So with that, we'll see you in part two. In part two, I will be going with you through all of my fabrics that I am going to use. This is not a large piece. This is about 12 by 12. It might be a little bit more than that, but it's basically that's the size. So that's the size we'll start with. That gives you a good feel for what you're doing, and going around counterclockwise. If you want to go clockwise, you certainly can do that. That's typically my inkling, is to go clockwise. But anyway, when we get to the layout and design, and that will most likely be in the next video, because it will doesn't have to be a super long share with you on the fabric pieces that I have gathered. So we'll see you in part two, and that will be tomorrow, and you have a beautiful day.